Film AI 2.2 introduces Tetrahedral Interpolation tool, which allows you to create advanced three-dimensional color grades with minimal impact on images quality. Tetrahedral interpolation allows you to control the saturation, luminance, hue, and density of your image that better represent the much desired film-like characteristics while not having to worry about potential artifacts, blending, or other technical limitations of HSL tools. Tetrahedral interpolation offers a significant advantage over traditional hue, saturation, and luminance control by enabling a more nuanced and accurate representation of color in three-dimensional space. Instead of adjusting hue, saturation, and luminance independently, tetrahedral interpolation considers the spatial relationships between colors, allowing for smoother transitions. In a tetrahedral setup, colors are represented as vertices of a tetrahedron. When interpolating between colors, this method calculates intermediate colors based on their relative positions within the tetrahedron, ensuring that the blending process respects the perceptual distances between colors. To use the tetrahedral interpolation tool, begin by loading an image and select the appropriate input and output transforms. Your input transform should match your source image, and the output transform should match your monitor. For example, this image comes from the Arri Alexa camera, so we'll select log C3 as our input transform. Film AI automatically selects sRGB as the output transform, but you can change that to suit your specific monitor. It is important that you select the correct input transform, as this will affect the result of the tetrahedral interpolation tool. If you're color grading a RAW file from a still camera, Film AI will automatically select the appropriate input transform for you. Now, we are ready to add the tetrahedral interpolation tool to our image. To do so, simply click on the tetrahedral interpolation tool under the Controls tab on the left-hand side of the app. To better understand how to use the tetrahedral interpolation, we should first understand the basic theory behind the RGB color model. If you're familiar with the theory, please skip to usage demonstration. RGB is an additive color model in which the red, green, and blue primary colors of light are added together in various ways to reproduce a broad array of colors. The name of the model comes from the initials of the three additive primary colors, red, green, and blue. Combining two primary colors creates a secondary color. Secondary color is formed by the sum of two primary colors of equal intensity. Cyan is green and blue, magenta is blue and red, and yellow is red and green. Every secondary color is the complement of one primary color. Cyan complements red, magenta complements green, and yellow complements blue. Combining two secondary colors creates a primary color. Primary color is formed by the sum of two secondary colors of equal intensity. Red is magenta and yellow, green is cyan and yellow, and blue is magenta and cyan. When all the primary colors are mixed in equal intensities, the result is white. Tetrahedral interpolation tool allows you to control the primary colors, red, green, and blue, the secondary colors, cyan, magenta, and yellow, and the neutral axis referred to as white. For RGB and CMY, when using negative values of tetrahedral interpolation tool, we are subtracting colors, therefore resulting in increased density in addition to the obvious change in color. By using positive values of tetrahedral interpolation tool, we are adding colors, therefore resulting in increased saturation and luminance in addition to the obvious change in color. For white, when using negative values, we are also darkening our image, while using positive values also brightens it. At the top of the tetrahedral tool, you'll find a color wheel which visually represents primary colors, red, green, and blue, secondary colors, cyan, magenta, and yellow, and their relationships, illustrating how color combinations create new hues. For example, by looking at the color wheel, we can conclude that in order to create the purple color, we need to mix blue and magenta. It is useful to think of the tetrahedral interpolation tool in painting terms. Just as a painter mixes different colors to create a new color, we will mix colors to create better color grades. We can always refer to the color wheel at the top to help us determine how to create the color that we want. Let's explore a few practical scenarios. Increasing saturation. To change the saturation of a range of hues, first select the appropriate range and then adjust the corresponding slider. For example, if we want to increase the saturation of cyans, we'll first select the cyan range and then adjust the corresponding cyan red slider. To increase the saturation, we'll add more cyan. If we want to increase the saturation of greens, for example, we'll first select the green range and then adjust the corresponding magenta green slider by adding more green. Decreasing saturation. To decrease the saturation, we need to add the complementary color to the range we have selected, but also the complementary color of the adjacent range. For example, if we want to decrease the saturation of cyans, we'll select the cyan range and then add red, which is complementary color to cyan. However, for best results, we also need to add the complementary color of the adjacent range. The adjacent range is blue, and the complementary color of blue is yellow. Hence, we need to add some yellow to our already selected cyan range. Let's see another example. If we want to desaturate the greens, we'll select the green range and add some magenta, which is complementary to the green. We also need to adjust the adjacent range. The adjacent range is cyan. The complementary color of cyan is red, so we need to add some red as well to our selected range of greens. Controlling luminance and density. To increase the luminance of a range of hues, first select the appropriate range and then increase all three sliders by equal amount. To decrease the luminance, decrease all three sliders by equal amount. This decreases the luminance and increases the density of the color, creating more film-like colors. Using Tetrahedral Interpolation tool, we can precisely control the colors in our images. For example, we can add blue to the greens to make them appear richer, deeper, and more film-like. Or we can add more cyan and green to our blues to make them better resemble the way typical films represent the range of bluish hues. To see how we can precisely control the colors using a tetrahedral interpolation tool, let's try to match a color grade created using our highly sophisticated Neural Film AI tool. Neural Film AI tool is a neural network-powered smart film emulation tool that allows you to create faithful film-like color grades with a single click. For more details on Neural Film AI tool, please visit the link in the description. We have already saved our Neural Film AI created grade as a match, so we can superimpose it over our image so it's easier for us to match the two. First, let's match the greens. To do so, we'll select the green range. It is quite clear that the greens need some more blue. To create a better match, we'll subtract some greens as well and add some more cyan. Now, let's match the yellows. First, we'll select the yellow range. It is clear we need to add more red. We also need to add a bit of magenta. Let's quickly explore the difference this makes. Now, let's match the blues. We'll select the blue range. To better match the colors, we'll add more cyan to the blues, some green, and a bit more blue, hence increasing the saturation as well. Let's explore the difference this makes once more. Please note, we're not trying to match the curve response of our reference grade, but rather just the broader colors. Adjusting colors in the image while increasing density. To demonstrate how we can adjust the colors in our image while increasing the density as well, we will match the color grade of our image to the color grade of Kendrick Lamar's Humble music video. To save time and establish a good starting point, we'll use the AI Color Match tool. This will save us valuable time and allow us to focus on the creative adjustments needed to fine-tune the color grade. For more details on how to use the AI Color Match tool, please check out the link in the description. Having established a nice starting point, we can now focus on matching the colors more accurately. We'll start by matching the cyan range, as it contains by far the largest amount of details in both ours and reference images. Since the density of our reference image is clearly higher, we'll dial in -2 in all our sliders to roughly match the density level of the reference image. From here, we'll add some cyan, blue, and a tiny bit of magenta. Next, we'll adjust the yellows and reds to make the skin tone richer. We'll finish by adding an RGB curve to roll off the highlights into warmer tones, just as in our reference. This is not related to tetrahedral interpolation in any way. We do it purely to better match our reference, as that's what we set off to do. The finished RGB curve looks something like this. Let's compare our grade with the reference image. As a reminder, let's quickly have a look at our original image without the color grade. Adjusting skin tones. Very common use for the Tetrahedral Interpolation tool is to adjust the skin tones in your image. The skin tones reside in the red and yellow ranges, so we'll primarily adjust them with an emphasis on the red range. For example, we could push some yellows into the skin tone to blend it better with the golden hour lighting. We'll add some red to increase the saturation, and finally, add a tiny bit of green to balance it all with the overall atmosphere. Selectively adjusting white balance. Adjusting white balance affects all three channels of the image, the red, the green, and the blue. Using tetrahedral interpolation, you can selectively adjust only the color range of the cast that you wish to remove. Let's quickly examine the following image. It clearly has a magenta cast. When we adjust the white balance, all three channels are manipulated. However, using tetrahedral interpolation, we can only select the magenta range and adjust it to our liking. We can also do this to the blue range in order to adjust our shadows. Let us quickly compare the two results. Image adjusted using tetrahedral interpolation is clearly neutral in the shadows as well. Coloring your image or objects in your image. While not one of its primary uses, you can use the tetrahedral interpolation tool to change the color of objects in your images. Select the range of colors in which your object is and manipulate it to your liking. Use the color wheel at the top of the tetrahedral interpolation tool to determine how to create various colors. For example, if we want to make the color of the wall purple, we'll first select the blue range, as that's the current color of the wall. Then, by looking at the color wheel, we see that in order to create the purple color, we need to add magenta and blue. Please note, everything that resides inside the selected color range will be manipulated. For example, if you're trying to change the color of a yellow background, some portions of the skin tone will inevitably be adjusted as well, as portions of skin tone usually reside in the yellow range. Finally, at the top of the tetrahedral interpolation tool, you'll find several presets which can be used as a source of inspiration or as a starting point for further color grading. Please note, the presets are pretty heavy-handed, so they might not look the best on poorly exposed images and should be adjusted accordingly. Once you're happy with your grade, you can save a high-resolution image or export the grade as a LUT, XMP profile, or a Capture One style. We hope you enjoyed this video. To learn more about Film AI, please check out our YouTube channel. Until next time, keep creating cool stuff.